Hey all, Tech Sensory here. So I wanted my next video to go over the process of opening and playing one of the games that I purchased along with the ModRetro Chromatic. And again, this is not a first time unboxing. I wanted to spend a little bit of time to just kind of play the game. This is not a review of the game either. I kind of wanted to just go over the new box experience and just show a little bit of the gameplay. So for those of you who, you know, just kind of want a more hands-on experience of what it's like to get a game like this, what it feels like, and just a little bit of gameplay to see, to understand better what the game is like. This is the kind of video for you. So right off the bat, you'll notice that these boxes, I'm not sure if this translates very well to video, but they do seem a little bit smaller than what I remember the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. I think the original games were a little bit more square shaped in size, so these are definitely more compact. But when you do buy these, as I said with the ModRetro Chromatic, these are shrink wrapped, and they have that nice, tight seal that a good shrink wrap does have. So, you'll have to be careful if you don't want to damage the box. I usually recommend using a knife, and there's usually just a little bit of space here on the top where you can cut open the shrink wrap. And you'll notice that, there's the chromatic sign right here with ModRetro. I'm not sure if this is the same across all of their games, but it definitely looks nice, and it's got like a little bit of a rainbow sheen to it. And one thing that you'll notice whenever I cover Wicked Plague is that not every game looks the same on the box, and it's listed the same. For example, Dragonyhm here has a E for everyone rating. I don't believe Wicked Plague shows a rating at all. So again, these are modern day games that are made for Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and this game in particular was the one that got me to look even into buying a ModRetro Chromatic in the first place. From what I understand, this is not the first time this game was published. There was a version of this game published by Incubate Games, and they actually still list it on their website, but they don't sell it anymore. So I guess ModRetro got the rights to it. And you'll see here on the side, there's a little bit of artwork. I don't think there's anything down here. That's the name. It's more artwork. And then you'll see on the back, one thing you'll see here is this charm included. This is something that I think ModRetro does with all of their games, is that they include a little charm. I keep calling it a lanyard in my previous video, but it's a charm that you can put in the little loophole on your ModRetro Chromatic, and I'll show that closer up what it looks like. It's completely unnecessary, but it's just one of those things where you feel like you're getting a physical item. If you miss the days of getting an actual physical item game, what I mean with like a book, a real cartridge that doesn't need to be consistently updated. A little bit further on that though, with these games, I'll talk about that a little bit later. And just a little bit of something extra, it's not necessary, but it's nice. And you'll see here in the pictures that this game looks a lot like a lot of RPGs. You'll see something like this and you'll think, oh, Pokemon. Even the style of battle looks a little bit more like Pokemon. I don't want to call it Pokemon because you're not capturing monsters or anything like that, but think of this as like a mixture of like Zelda and with turn-based battles, right? And here you'll see it says featured in Dragonyhm, 9 main dungeons with multitude of mini dungeons, turn-based battles, real-time action, puzzles, and minigames, unlockable modifiers, and collectible extras, and immersive fantasy world. And then you got some character art here. This character art just screams Game Boy Color. For those of you who didn't grow up with the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color, there was just certain type of art that you would see for those kinds of games. That was I don't know. This stuff just reminds me of it. And then there's this is like the little creature that's like the mascot for this game. And you got ModRetro.com and then the E rating. Now, the box itself feels sturdy. It feels nice to hold. It doesn't have like that cheap cardboard feel to it. It has like a sheen feel to it, so I really like that. And I will say on this particular box, the upper clasp where the box is closed, so far at least, holds really tight. Now, this is a little bit of a problem if you're trying to keep the box, if you want to open it but you're trying to keep the box in good condition, right? Obviously, like if you don't have fingernails, getting this open, you might damage the side of the box. So what I would personally recommend is get a knife, right? It's a lovely Damascus steel here. And I'm gonna try and take the non-sharp edge, right? And I'm gonna try and get it under there and then just lightly push it up. That will allow you, if you're very careful, that'll allow you to kind of get in there and just get just enough where you can grab to the side. And you can open it without really damaging the crease. I've opened this a number of times. You can still see it's pretty flat. So when you open this, it comes out and you'll notice you'll get the plastic holder for the game. You get a book, and then the charm is underneath the game. Now, I don't think there's anything extra else in the book, in the box. There's nothing like on the inside. So I'm gonna put that right over there. Unfortunately, this is where the first of my bad luck comes into play. And, you know, one of the reasons I named this channel Tech Sensory is because I'm, you know, I'm a perfectionist. Everything has to feel just right for me. And whenever I see something damaged, you know, it bothers me probably more than the average person. And nowadays I primarily game on Steam. I primarily play digital games. I've really had no problem transitioning to mainly digital. And one of the reasons for that is because I've always had, you know, seemingly bad luck whenever I got physical games, where inevitably something, you know, would be damaged inside and it would bother me. Again, more than it should. And unfortunately, you know, when I got this game, as you can see here with the book, this came damaged like this. You know, obviously it's not the end of the world, right? And the older I get, the less of a big deal it's becoming for me. You know, I kind of realize this is just part of the process, and it's just I try to look at it as it adds character to whatever product I purchase. But I do wish that this didn't happen. I'm not really sure if there's anything they can do with this, you know, because it was kind of sitting flat here on there, so it really shouldn't happen. But you know, whenever they package this stuff, they probably slipped it in just the wrong way, and unfortunately this happened. Yeah. And you know, I immediately checked my other game, Wicked Plague, and I didn't have this issue. So you know, I just have to chop it up too. It is what it is. But this is the book, and it's printed in China. So unlike a lot of the other stuff that's made in Mexico, these things are printed in China. But so I have a couple comments about this book, and I wanted to go over the book first. First of all, it's nice. It's actually fairly thick, and it's full color. It's got a nice, I know it sounds weird, but it's got a nice heft to the book. Like and the pages feel of a nice quality. So you'll see here, I'm just going to open this up really quick, and it says ModRetro has carefully assessed this product, confirming it meets our exacting standards for quality, craftsmanship, reliability, and unadulterated fun. And then you'll see there's 32 pages in here. And they always use that little critter there in the bottom pages. I like that. And you'll see here, you know, there's a great quality. However, this is my one complaint about this book, and this is not something that I don't believe that we had a problem with in the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. But it also could be that I'm just getting older. I'm in my early 40s, so. But you'll notice that these words are extremely small. Like this is me holding it here, like I would if I was reading it. Look how small the words are. When I read through this book, I had to almost zoom in here with my face, you know, just to be able to read everything. And so you'll notice with these more modern day made games, you know, they're not as simplistic. They whenever you talk to NPCs or you do anything, there's a lot more words than maybe you would expect from something like Pokemon games, because these are adults making games for essentially adult gamers. Now this is a game rated E for everyone, but that doesn't mean that the writing necessarily has to be for everyone. But you'll see that all the characters are covered here. They even went as far as to have a special language made in 2 different forms. I like the color of this chromatica as well. Kind of just goes to show you the basic, you know, setup. Again, with the system, the button layout is always super simplistic. It goes through the file system. the common menu. I do recommend reading this because there's some good background information on the characters themselves, and when it actually goes into some of the aspects like leveling. Actually, I want to kind of go through that here really quick. It's not something that's explained in the game, and so it's very helpful that you actually read this. So for example, right here it tells you that this is how you increase your stats, and right here it says for mana, factors into the power of magic techniques. Spells stat increases by using a magic attack to win a battle, which would result in a level up. Like, if you didn't know that, it's not something that's explained in the game, you would definitely miss out on that. Same thing with defense. You have to use a defense boostering item when you level up if you want to actually level that up. So it's something kind of important to notice. I did also notice, and for those of you who know the reference, this character looks a little bit like Chrono from Chrono Trigger. So nice little thing there. Shows you all the items you get. The game does have mini games, and it kind of shows you and talks about those. There's a fishing minigame. Any good action RPG or RPG should have minigames. There's even trading cards you can collect in the game. And then there's these golden statues, which is what they refer to on the back as the modifiers. So this is something that you can use if you want to modify the game. Apparently, I think you can do, like, when you when you beat the game and you want to play it over, you can make it harder. Don't think I'm going to plan on doing that, but it's nice that it's there, and it kind of goes over that. And like all good books, there's a section for notes that I'm never going to write in because I don't want to tarnish my book. But so that's the book for you. Again, my only complaint about the book, outside of this, which is not a complaint on the product itself, but unfortunately, just my unfortunate luck, is the fact that the book is, the words are way too small to read, and they really should have just made them a little bit larger. I mean, I don't know whose eyesight they're making these for, but that is my complaint about that. Then we're going to go on to this. So this is just like a little piece of plastic. You don't get an actual plastic case for the game, which is fine. This is more than enough. And there's a little, groove right here for your finger, so it's easy to come out with. And you can see here, so I left my copy of Chromatic Tetris out there to kind of explain something. And I may be a little bit wrong on this, but if I remember correctly, the way they color-coded games back in the day is all the original Game Boy games were on a gray cartridge, and then games that were playable on both Game Boy and Game Boy Color were usually black, right? So they were more like this. I'm not sure if this plays on the original Game Boy, but I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does. But obviously sometimes games were different cartridges. Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow were their respective colors. And then there was also clear games, which I believe were Game Boy Color only games. Now, however, that doesn't apply to anything that ModRetro does, and they actually went out of their way to make each of their games look individual, distinct. I believe Wicked Plague is clear. So yeah, this is more like the Zelda color. It's kind of got like a little bit of a gold sheen to it. It's nice. Unfortunately, my label does have some bumps. It's kind of hard to see, but you'll see the bumps right there. Not really a big deal. It happens when you put on a label. I'm not big deal. It doesn't look like it's going to come off anytime soon. But yeah, there's nothing special about the back of the card or anything. It just says made in Mexico. It's got a little bit of the sparklies there. But yeah, it's a beautiful looking cartridge. It's got the same artwork on there. But hey, you know what you're getting, and I love the fact that it stands out a little bit. It's got these little crevices here, and then this should play on any Game Boy Color. So I don't think this plays on original Game Boys. So I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so this is just this acts just like a standard Game Boy game. You don't have to have the ModRetro to play this, from what I understand. And then normally underneath it, you have this little area with this baggie, and that's where the charm is. I'll show you the charm shortly here, but yeah, that's pretty much what you get with this game. This is what you get with most of their games, is, you get the game, there's a charm in there. So the charm looks like this. The little critter. I don't typically do stuff like this, but I figured, for this, might as well try it. It's actually pretty nice. Usually stays out of the way. And there's a section here on the left-hand side of the chromatic that you can put it. And then you can put one over here as well if you want to put that in there. So, we'll load the game up. We'll get that satisfying insert. That feels good. That feels good. It's a good, solid, like, loading sound, and just, and when you and when you load it, it feel, I don't want it to sound like in a wrong way, but yeah, no, it just feels like it's in there, and you're ready to game. And then of course the all important turn on sound. So my early impressions of this game is pretty good. Here, I'm gonna let the opening play. Okay. So my early impressions of this game are pretty good, but I do have two complaints. One is very minor. The first being that you can't, when you turn the game on, you can't skip to the menu, and you kind of have to let the whole opening play each time, which is, if you have to get out of the game for whatever reason, it's kind of annoying. But my second complaint I'm gonna show you right here. So you'll see the game. You know, it's beautiful. If you love the style of artwork, you'll definitely appreciate it. But my biggest complaint about this game, and this is something that I just don't understand what the developers were thinking, is the fact that you can only save this game whenever you come up to like these save boxes. And the reason I have that as a complaint is because, unlike a lot of other modern systems, you can't put this system to sleep. And so, you know, for somebody like me, I bought this system mainly so I can play it like on my lunch at work, or, you know, so I can just do like a quick play. And that's going to be a real problem if I have to make sure that I'm somewhere with a save point. There's no save states in this game that I'm aware of. And I really dislike the fact that they made that, because it takes what would have been just a quick, you know, play session, like something with Tetris, where you're like, okay, I'm in the middle playing, to you know, I gotta go find a safe spot before I quit the game. And I find that to be really annoying, and it could have been easily just solved by them adding a save option in the menu. You know, I realize it would have taken some of the difficulty away from the game, because you could save anywhere, but, or at least let people save like anywhere in the world, you know, overworld map, and not just require you to be in specific places. So it is a big complaint if you're looking for, you know, really quick play sessions, and, you know, and being able to turn it off at any point in time. This is probably not the best game to do that with. But anyways, that was pretty much my only complaint so far. When you hit the select button here, you'll see the world map, and then when you hit the start button, you'll see your main menu. Now the game starts, I believe, on level 9, so it's not like I've started level 1 and I'm on level 16, but so far it's pretty cool. When you go into the inventory menu here, it'll show you like some of the items, inventory items you have. My trusty spear. And what's really cool is when you go to your trading cards here, you can browse your trading cards. So for example, I know that I got his father, Curtis. Coming from a long line of dragon slayers, Curtis was granted the status of, I'm probably going to butcher this, but Yamzinder. At the height of the Archendi Dragon War, his modern duties involve routinely inspecting sealed dungeons and thwarting the Zambala clan. Whenever they might appear possessing uncanny competitive instinct, he's able to go toe-to-toe with even the most seasoned of combat mages. But yeah, you get these cards. They don't really do anything except give you some background info, but it's great. And I just want to show you just really quickly what the combat looks like in this game. So if you're thinking, wow, this looks a lot like Zelda, you'd be right. And this is apparently a future warp spot once you get enough dragon scales. But this is the first dungeon or area that you go into. And they do include a save spot right here, which is nice. But again, you should be able to save anywhere. So in this game, the way it works is when enemies do that attack, if you move, then you don't fight them. And then if you let yourself get hit, you get into combat. Alright, and so you'll see here, dead man. I'm not gonna lie to you, I died several times already. These enemies hit really hard, and these enemies can paralyze you, and if you don't have a paralyze heal, you're dead. So I found the easiest thing to do is just go use your skill, Spear Barrage. And this little bar here, right there, shows you how much you have left to your next level. So they'll just use Fortify. Yeah. So here's that Death Stare ability, and that Death Stare ability can paralyze you. So under special, you have magic too. I have Soul Shot here. Yep, and then we're just gonna attack. And so you'll get some money and some experience. So, and then when you need to recover, oh, look at that, he's following me in here. Wow, there's no safe zone in here. They'll follow you anywhere. But yeah, you just go in here to recover. And then you go to save your game. Now, the reason I want to keep fighting too many more guys is because I'm trying to get it to where... Here, I'll actually show you. You see the color of the game is pretty nice. Again, this is a you know, 1-to-1 pixel ratio of the original Game Boy Color. So this is pretty much what you would expect a game to look like. But this is one of the towns in the game, and here you can go to the store. The store's actually got a nice graphic over here. But what you want is you want this protective bomb. And we're gonna buy 3 of them. And then when you can see here, if you describe it, this bomb will boost your defense when applied. Smells good too. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, we're all set. So the thing is that whenever you're in combat, you can choose how you want to level up your stats, and you definitely want to put your stats up. Again, some of these enemies can 3-hit kill you, and I found I had to grind early. Thankfully, it doesn't look like the enemies actually level up with you, because I've seen enemies anywhere from level 11 up to 16 in this dungeon, and I'm like, you start out at 9. You do fight some enemies in the first town, but yeah, overall, you know, like I said, this game is not easy. Definitely doesn't feel like a cakewalk, like something like, you know, some of the earlier Game Boy games did, or, you know, something that was designed specifically for children. You know, it's not a game designed for adults or anything like that, but it definitely, it's an RPG. I mean, these guys also definitely seem like they're a higher level than when I first entered this dungeon, so now I'm starting to wonder if maybe they are. If they are actually leveling up a little bit. Hopefully they're not. I didn't read anything in the book to suggest that they would. But as you can see, I don't have any health potions right now. So, you know, yeah, if this guy, you know, if I actually tried to go through this full dungeon, that would definitely be a problem. But I do want to show you really quickly while I'm doing this demonstration really quickly. I'm gonna recover. There's multiple rooms to this dungeon too, by the way. So yeah, in this scenario, because I know I'm going to level up after this fight, I want to go to my items, and I want to use my protective bomb. And he's going to fortify, which means I'm probably going to want to use a spell. And there's weaknesses in this game, so you do fight these demons in this dungeon that actually take like 30 damage. And so you can two-shot them. And there are new weapons that you can get that, and each weapon comes with its own unique ability. So yeah, this guy's been fortifying multiple times, and you'll see this little arrow right up there, and it can go up to 3 times. now it's only doing 8 damage. That is terrible. So we're going back to magic. I don't know if you use this guy also never used to be level 15 either. So we'll see, because I used both skills and magic. So I leveled up. So yeah, I got 1 mana for killing him with a spell. I got a defense for using a bomb. And I got a magic point and a hit point. Oh, and I learned a new spell, Mortar Flame. Okay. So yeah, to check on your spells and everything, you go here under Techniques, Magic, and then it'll actually show you what it does. A hefty fireball that is hurled at the foe may inflict burn. Nice. So I guess they do level with you, because they were like level 11 when I got here. It kind of sucks, but you don't have to fight them all. It also means you can't get both your magic and your strength up at the same time. As you'll see over here, my mana is 4, my strength is 2. If I had killed him with a skill, my strength would have gone up instead. But you can't get your defense and your strength up at the same time. So that's Dragonyhm. Again, this is the very beginning of the game, so I'm not exactly sure how long the game is supposed to be, but it kind of gives you a decent idea of what the game is supposed to be like. It's fun. I think it's going to be, interesting to play through the game. And again, you don't have to fight all the enemies. The first puzzle that I came across was actually pretty decent. I'm not the greatest, puzzle guy. I will say that if I was a kid, I'd probably have a difficult time solving it. So I don't think this game was necessarily designed for an extremely young audience. I think this was designed for adult retro enthusiasts. But I would recommend it. And if you stay tuned for my next video, I'm gonna make a video here shortly where I want to talk about why I specifically bought this system and I didn't buy one of the many other options available, and what I kind of find wrong with the current portable gaming scene. And these are all just my opinions, of course, but I'll see you in the next video. Bye.